It is not easy to study Samatha and Vipassana. It is best to have some prior experience and practice. Otherwise, after studying for a long time, one may still not understand what is being discussed. One cannot achieve enlightenment through Samatha alone, nor through Vipassana alone. No one attains the wisdom of Buddhahood with just Vipassana meditation. One must first study Samatha, then study Vipassana, and then practice the union of Samatha and Vipassana to reach final enlightenment. The original text divides this chapter into 3 parts: the practice of the union of Samatha and Vipassana, the timing of this union, and the different types of Samatha and Vipassana. The practice of this union. The union of the stability of mind, Samatha, and insight, Vipassana, occurs when the mind is at rest and still, not in the ordinary way, but resting in the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu. This is the highest level of abiding in the wisdom of the Dharma realm. In the Sutra tradition, there are 4 systems of instructions on how to do this, each given by an Indian master. Although the instructions vary, they agree that one should practice the union of Samatha and Vipassana. These 4 masters, Bhava-Viveka, Santideva, Kamalasila, and Chandrakirti, were all Madhyamaka masters with a thorough understanding of emptiness. There are 2 major schools within Madhyamaka, the Svatantrikas and the Prasangikas. To put it simply, the Svatantrika school holds that on the level of ultimate truth, nothing has true existence, while on the relative level, things exist. In conventional reality, things appear to exist, but in ultimate reality, everything is empty. So, the Svatantrika school is concerned with concepts of existence and non-existence. The Prasangika school, however, believes that all phenomena are just appearances without any true nature. So, they are not so concerned with concepts of existence and non-existence. There are some differences between the 2. The first system is presented by Bhava-Viveka of the Svatantrika school. His method for developing the union of Samatha and Vipassana is to begin by meditating on topics like joy and loving kindness. First, cultivate immeasurable loving kindness. Sit peacefully, free from distracting thoughts, and begin the meditation. When you enter concentration, you will know that both body and mind feel light and comfortable. At that point, begin to meditate. Share your joy with all sentient beings and extend this loving kindness throughout the entire Dharma realm. May every being abide in this peace, free from attachment. This is the meditation on loving kindness. This is explained in the section on remedies for negative propensities. For example, one meditates on loving kindness to overcome anger. We all have the karmic tendency of anger. Initially, we can practice loving kindness meditation toward our parents. Then, we extend the practice to ordinary people. Finally, we meditate toward those we feel anger toward, such as those we dislike or those who have hurt us, toward whom it is easiest to arouse loving kindness. For most men, it is often easiest to arouse loving kindness toward their girlfriends. As soon as they think of their girlfriend, loving kindness arises naturally, without instruction, because they wish her to be happy. When she is happy, they are happy as well. Likewise, thinking of one's children brings up loving kindness without effort. It is also easy to generate loving kindness toward one's parents. However, it is not easy to cultivate loving kindness toward those who have hurt us or whom we dislike. Still, we must practice it. What skillful means can help us arouse loving kindness toward them? As I've mentioned before, when you see such people, you can think of them as your past self, and in this way you can forgive them. In the past, we were just like them. We committed similar negative actions and were similarly deluded, ignorant, insane, or afflicted by demons. Now, through the compassion and blessings of the Guru and the Three Jewels, our illness is slightly less severe than theirs. We are not sages, we are just a little less afflicted than they are, or our illness is not active now. You can contemplate, thanks to the blessings of the Guru and the Three Jewels, my illness is not active. If it were, I might be even more insane than they are. In this way, you can cultivate loving kindness toward them. Reflect that they are your past self, and you were once even worse than they are. You can also see them as a future Buddha. They will eventually become a Buddha. From a Buddha's perspective, they are a future Buddha. So we can think, since the Buddha sees them as a Buddha, we can also regard them as a Buddha. This requires no cost, no tax, no money, no effort, simply viewing them as a future Buddha. Isn't it nice? No matter how deluded they are now, sooner or later they will awaken. All sentient beings will awaken sooner or later, though they are now obscured by ignorance. If possible, we can help them. If not, we wait until they have suffered enough, and they will naturally seek our help. We cultivate loving kindness toward them, maintain compassion, bless them, and dedicate merits to them. But when will they come to us? When the causes and conditions ripen. We should not force them, as worldly people do in business. It is unnecessary. We don't drag people here, but we should dedicate merits to them. Practicing loving kindness meditation is the best dedication. Cultivating loving kindness or compassion towards someone is the greatest dedication to them. Loving kindness meditation is ideal because with loving kindness, compassion naturally arises. Practicing loving kindness meditation transmits this energy to bless them. Due to heavy negative karma, they may not receive the energy for the time being, like someone inside a house while sunlight shines on it. Although the sunlight does not reach them directly, it warms the house, which is beneficial. When they open a window, they may see the light. For now, they haven't even opened the window. There will be a chance, when the conditions ripen, they may create an opening and the light will enter. Therefore, we should practice loving-kindness meditation. Thus, one develops Samatha meditation. Then, one analyzes phenomena. By analyzing external phenomena, one understands the inseparability of appearance and emptiness. Through the analysis of internal phenomena, one gains insight into the inseparability of emptiness and awareness. This requires wisdom. Second, in A Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, Shantideva says that to develop samatha, one must first generate bodhicitta. There is relative and absolute bodhicitta. In this practice, one develops samatha through relative bodhicitta by wishing that all beings attain happiness and be free from suffering. The practice of the Svatantrika school is simpler. It requires only cultivating immeasurable loving-kindness, without the need for bodhicitta. The practice described here has a higher requirement. One must generate bodhicitta. One develops samatha through relative bodhicitta by wishing that all beings attain happiness and be free from suffering. One must arouse bodhicitta before practicing meditation. Without bodhicitta, practicing meditation can invite demons. But beings do not know what causes suffering, so they remain in suffering. Therefore, one must develop the motivation to help all beings be free from suffering. Since one does not yet have this ability, one practices the dharma, because the dharma teaches how to do this. One thinks of helping all beings attain Buddhahood. This is the development of samatha through generating relative bodhicitta. After reaching the completely trained state of this samatha, one moves on to vipassana. Through cultivating vipassana, one realizes emptiness. After developing samatha, one then meditates on suffering, origin, cessation, and path. This is the same as Bhava Viveka's analysis of outer and inner phenomena to understand the inseparability of emptiness and appearance, as well as emptiness and awareness. These two systems are similar. Bhava Viveka's approach understands the non-duality of appearance and emptiness by analyzing external and internal phenomena. For modern people, it is very necessary to apply analysis. There is no ranking between Svatantrika and Prasangika schools. The differences arise because sentient beings differ in their spiritual faculties, karmic tendencies, and ways of practice. Some prefer to begin with analysis. Santideva's approach starts with the truth of suffering, then addresses the truth of origin, integrating the Four Noble Truths with the generation of bodhicitta. The third system, that of Kamalashila, is widely practiced and can be found in the second volume of The Stages of Meditation. One develops samatha by resting the mind on an external object, such as a Buddha statue, and then on an internal object, such as the breath. This practice makes the mind still and calm. After developing samatha in this way, one cultivates vipassana by examining and analyzing the mind resting in samatha. one begins to realize that there is no identifiable mind and comes to understand the inseparability of awareness and emptiness. One recognizes that when the mind is examined, there is nothing there that can be identified. One develops Vipassana by analyzing the 6 root mind poisons as described in Attains' tradition in the Samatha section. There are various methods of Samatha. In this method, one first cultivates mental stability by focusing on an internal object, such as the breath, and then analyzes emptiness. It doesn't mention bodhicitta. Chandrakirti, a great Madhyamaka master, composed Entering the Middle Way, which presents many kinds of reasoning and logical analysis on emptiness. He not only gave reasons, but also did a practical demonstration to help his students eliminate their clinging to phenomena. At the entrance of most temples, there is a painting of the Wheel of Existence. In the past, arhats would visit the 6 realms and, upon returning, describe their experiences so that ordinary people could understand what those realms are like. Hence, the Buddha instructed that a painting of the 6 realms be placed at temple entrances for people to see. In this painting, some cows are depicted in the animal realm section. One day, Chandrakirti went to the painting and began milking one of the painted cows. He got enough milk for everyone to drink. He did this to demonstrate that whether it is a painted cow or a real one, neither has true reality. So, Chandrakirti was not only a great scholar, but also had great realization. He milked a cow painted on the wall. How extraordinary! Chandrakirti's method is different from the others. In this approach, one listens to the teachings and then contemplates them to understand the true nature of things. Through listening and contemplation, one cultivates prajna, the understanding of the reality of all phenomena, which gives rise to the view developed from analyzing the suchness of things. First, one cultivates this perfect understanding of the true nature of phenomena, and then practices Samatha and Vipassana meditation. In this way, the practice is based on the view, the actual understanding of the nature of the mind. This should be the typical way of practice. The approach we use is Chandrakirti's. I think we have utilized all these systems. First, at noon, we understand emptiness and the absence of a self in the 5 aggregates by analyzing phenomena. Selflessness means emptiness. Still, listening to the Dharma is necessary, as hearing and contemplating the teachings support our analysis. It seems we are using all 4 systems that I just read about. The second system discusses cultivating bodhicitta, including relative and ultimate bodhicitta, which we also emphasize. I have also taught Samatha and Vipassana, such as mindful breathing. The third system, presented by Kamalasila, discusses Samatha, including entering concentration by focusing on the breath. By watching the breath, one can quickly enter concentration and even deep meditative absorption. If you consistently practice concentration by watching the breath, under a teacher's guidance, there should be no problems. If you don't cling to meditative states, you can quickly enter concentration. However, it is essential to uphold the 10 virtues to some degree, and the mind should not be too evil or greedy. Those with intense greed may encounter problems after entering meditative absorption. When meditative states arise, their greed may intensify, leading to problems. Those who are content and have few desires can enter meditative absorption through Samatha practice. This is discussed in the third system. We also use Chandrakirti's method. I have explained it before. First, listen to and reflect on the teachings. Then, develop genuine meditation. In these 4 systems, the instructions for developing Samatha and Vipassana differ slightly, but only in minor ways. They agree that we must first stabilize the mind, after which the insight of Vipassana can develop, and that these 2 practices are a union rather than separate. First, keep your mind calm, pure, and serene. They agree that Samatha practice is a causal condition for Vipassana, and that we practice the union of these 2. This means the mind must be one-pointed, not distracted by other thoughts. It also means that we use the mind as the object of meditation without thinking about anything else. This one-pointedness arises when resting in meditation, not while analyzing phenomena. Analytical meditation is an initial stage during which the mind is very focused and analyzes clearly.